My disloyal wife paid off the whole legal system to take my empire, spending every penny convinced of victory, until I exposed the document she'd neglected signing. Now she's broke and desperately asks for aid. Be me, 42 years old. Running my own fitness empire now. 3 successful gyms and a supplement line that's dominating across the state. But let me tell you the whole story. Didn't start with a damn thing in life. My old man was a factory worker. Broke his back for 30 years before his body finally gave out. Came home every night with hands cracked and bleeding. Barely had energy to eat dinner before passing out. Mom cleaned houses to help make ends meet. Rich people's houses. She'd see all the nice shit we could never afford. Grew up in this small town in Ohio. Most people just settled for whatever job they could get after high school. College wasn't even on the radar for most kids I grew up with. That wasn't going to be me, though. No fucking way. Remember telling my dad when I was 15 that I was going to own my own business someday. He just looked at me with these tired eyes. Said, "That takes money, son, and money ain't something we got." Wasn't meant to be discouraging. Just reality from his perspective. Busted my ass through high school. Got decent grades while playing linebacker on the football team. Coach saw something in me. Pushed me hard enough that I landed a partial athletic scholarship. Not to some big D1 school or anything. Just a state college in Michigan. But it was my ticket out. Even with the scholarship, I was broke as fuck. Worked security at bars and campus events at night. Needed to pay for what the scholarship didn't cover. Sometimes I'd work until 3 a.m., crash for a few hours, then drag my ass to morning practice. Teammates would bitch about being tired after partying all weekend. I'd just laugh. These privileged assholes had no clue what tired really was. After graduation, I landed a job as a personal trainer. Worked at this corporate gym chain. Pay was absolute garbage. Basically minimum wage plus commission on training packages. But I was learning the business from the inside, figuring out what worked and what didn't. Lived in this shitty studio apartment. Just had a bed, a weight bench, and protein powder in the cabinets. No social life, no fancy shit. Every extra dollar went straight into my savings account. Kept a notebook where I wrote down everything I observed about the gym business. Which equipment broke down most often. Which classes brought in the most people. How the sales team closed deals. What the profit margins were on supplements versus training packages. The corporate managers thought I was just some meathead trainer. But I was basically getting a free MBA in fitness business management. By 29, I had about $47,000 saved up. Not enough to open a gym outright, but enough for a down payment on a small business loan. Found this rundown strip mall on the edge of town in Indiana. Rent was dirt cheap because half the stores were vacant. Signed a 3-year lease on a 3,000 square foot space. Took out a $165,000 loan. Maxed out 2 credit cards buying mostly secondhand equipment. Iron Pulse Fitness opened with zero fanfare. Just a banner I designed myself at a local print shop. And some flyers I handed out at the community college. For the first 6 months I slept on a mattress in the back office. Couldn't afford both rent on an apartment and the gym lease. Showered in the gym facilities. Ate canned tuna and protein shakes. Worked 18-hour days. No days off. No vacations. No bullshit. Most days I'd open at 5 a.m. Work the front desk until 9 a.m. Train clients from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Clean the place from 5 to 6. Then handle paperwork and maintenance until midnight or later. Some nights I'd be fixing broken equipment at 2 a.m. Couldn't afford a repair guy. The first year was brutal. Almost went broke 3 times. Had to choose between paying the electric bill or the loan payment more than once. But slowly it started working. People liked that I remembered their names. That I actually gave a shit about their goals. That the place wasn't full of posers and Instagram models like the corporate gyms. By 33, I had paid off most of the initial debt. Had enough steady members that I could hire 2 part-time employees. By 36, I had enough cash flow to open a second location in a better part of town. This one was twice the size with all new equipment. That's when things really started to take off. Expanded into supplements because the margins were insane. Saw how much money my members were spending on overpriced underdosed garbage. Partnered with a local manufacturer to create my own line, Iron Pulse Performance, with actually effective doses of ingredients. No proprietary blends hiding cheap fillers. That side of the business exploded almost overnight. By the time I hit 37, I had 2 thriving gym locations, a supplement line that was starting to get distribution in local nutrition shops, and a net worth on paper of about $1.4 million. Finally seeing the rewards of years of 80-hour weeks. Sacrificed everything else in my life for this. That's when Vanessa came into the picture. She walked into my flagship location one day in March. Claimed she wanted to get in shape for summer. Spent more time checking me out than listening to the fitness assessment. She was 31. Hot as hell with this perfect blonde hair. Always dressed in expensive workout gear, probably cost more than my monthly rent back in my broke days. She had this confidence that was magnetic. The way she walked, talked, held eye contact a beat longer than necessary. At first, I thought she was just another rich girl playing at fitness, but she seemed genuinely interested in me and my story. After her third session, she asked me out for coffee, which almost never happened. Usually I was the one making the first move. That should have been my first clue. Something was off. But my ego loved it. Over coffee, she told me she was a medical device sales rep for some big company, making well into six figures closing deals with hospital networks, drove a leased Mercedes, wore designer clothes, carried herself like someone who had her shit together. I was impressed. Here was a woman who was ambitious and successful on her own terms. Man, if I could go back and warn myself. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. But when you're balls deep in lust and what you think is love, you don't see shit clearly. First date, Vanessa shows up 30 minutes late. No real apology. Just says traffic was a nightmare. Immediately orders the most expensive wine on the menu. I'm not cheap, but I noticed she didn't even hesitate or offer to split the bill. When I asked about her background, her stories were vague. Grew up all over because her dad was in business. Went to college back east. Every detail was just slightly fuzzy. I chalked it up to first date nervousness. Fucking idiot. Second date was at her apartment. A luxury high-rise downtown that must have cost at least $2,700 a month in rent. The place was immaculate but weirdly impersonal. Like a model home or a hotel suite. No photos older than like 5 years. No college pictures. No family stuff. When I asked, she got defensive, saying her ex destroyed a bunch of her personal stuff. I believed her. He was controlling and jealous, she told me, eyes welling up with tears that never quite fell. When I finally got the courage to leave, he destroyed anything he couldn't take. I felt like an asshole for bringing it up. Another red flag missed. The sex was mind-blowing, though. Like porn star level enthusiasm. She knew exactly what to say, how to move, when to be aggressive and when to be submissive. It was intoxicating, and it kept me from asking too many questions. Classic manipulation. But it worked on me. 3 months into dating, she lost her medical device job. Something about office politics and her boss hitting on her. She cried on my shoulder, talking about how unfair the corporate world was to ambitious women. He kept passing me over for promotions, she sniffled, then suggested we could discuss my future with the company over dinner at his place. When I refused, suddenly my numbers weren't good enough. I comforted her, told her she'd find something better, offered to help with her resume, make some introductions to people I knew in the business world. She didn't seem that interested in my practical help, just wanted the emotional support. Another missed red flag. She didn't find another sales job. Instead, she suddenly decided she wanted to be a fitness influencer. Started hanging around my gym all day, taking selfies, asking my actual clients to be in her videos. It was embarrassing as fuck, but I let it slide because I thought I was supporting her dreams. She'd post these workout tutorials that were biomechanically unsound, diet advice that was borderline dangerous, and supplement recommendations for brands that were paying her. Not mine. Interestingly, when I gently tried to correct some of her fitness misinformation, she'd get defensive. Not everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, Ethan, she'd snap. My name is Ethan now, not Jason. Regular women want advice from someone who looks like me, not some jacked gym bro. Never mind that I had certifications, a degree in exercise science, and a decade of experience. Her 2 months of casual gym attendance clearly qualified her more. Meanwhile, I was grinding harder than ever. Opening a third location, developing new supplement formulations, building connections with local athletes and sports teams. Vanessa would take credit for my ideas during social gatherings, telling people she was the brains behind my expansion plan. Ethan has the fitness knowledge, but I'm helping him scale the business, she'd say. To my friends, investors, and business contacts, I'd watch her do this and think she's just proud of me, like a complete dumbass. After a year together, I proposed, got down on one knee at this fancy restaurant overlooking the city, with a ring that cost me $18,000, money I should have invested back into my business, instead of a diamond for her finger. She said yes before I even finished asking, then immediately took a picture of the ring for Instagram. That night, as we celebrated with champagne back at my place, she looked at me with what I thought was love, and said, "We're going to build an amazing life together." I didn't realize until much later that in her mind, we meant me doing all the work while she spent the rewards. By the time we got engaged, I was pulling in serious money. The 3 gyms were generating about $1.3 million annually in profit, and the supplement line was taking off online. I'd also invested in some commercial real estate, a small office building and a warehouse space that I rented out. All told, my net worth was pushing $3.8 million. I wasn't born yesterday. Told Vanessa we needed a prenup. Holy fuck, did she lose it. Threw a glass against the wall. Screamed that I didn't trust her. That I was planning for divorce before we even got married. The whole performance was Oscar-worthy. If you really loved me, you wouldn't ask me to sign away my rights, she screamed. Mascara running down her face. What rights? I asked, genuinely confused. The right to take half what I built before I even met you. That's not the point, she shrieked, grabbing her purse and heading for the door. The point is that you're treating me like some gold digger instead of your future wife. I stood my ground. This isn't about love, it's about business. Everything I built before you stays mine. Everything we build together, we split. That's fair. Fair? She laughed. This bitter, scary laugh. You know what's not fair? Me giving you the best years of my life, supporting your dreams, only to be treated like I'm nothing to you. The best years of her life comment was rich, considering we'd been dating for 12 months, most of which she'd spent unemployed, and living in an apartment I was now helping her pay for. Since her savings had mysteriously dried up after her job loss, she refused to speak to me for a week. Stayed with a friend, found out later it was an ex-boyfriend, ignoring my calls. Then she came back acting like she'd made this huge sacrifice by agreeing, "I'll sign your stupid prenup, but only because I know our marriage will last forever," she said. Like she was doing me this massive favor. But I want it to be fair. I don't want to be left with nothing if something happens. I agreed to that. It should be fair. Hired a top-tier lawyer to draft the agreement. It protected my gyms, the supplement business, my real estate investments, and my personal savings. But I wasn't a complete hard ass. Included a clause that would give her a one-time payment of $55,000 if we divorced, regardless of circumstances, plus $2,500 per month for each year we were married up to a maximum of 5 years. I also specified that any assets or wealth we built together during the marriage would be split 50-50. I even paid for her to have her own lawyer review it, making sure everything was by the book. Her lawyer actually negotiated some decent terms, increasing the monthly support to $3,500 per month, and adding a clause that if I cheated, the prenup would be invalidated. I was fine with that since I had zero intention of cheating. After some back and forth, where her lawyer actually got me to make some adjustments in her favor, she signed it. I didn't know then that she was already plotting how to break it. The wedding was exactly what you'd expect. Over-the-top, Instagram-worthy, and expensive as fuck. $92,000 down the drain for a single day of her playing princess. She had a minor meltdown when the flower arrangements were the wrong shade of white. Apparently that's a thing. And made the wedding planner cry. I should have run right then, but sunk cost fallacy is a bitch. First year of marriage, things seemed good on the surface. I was expanding the supplement line into more stores, even getting some local athletes to endorse it. My gyms were packed, and I was working on plans for a 4th location. Vanessa had given up on the fitness influencer dream, after realizing it required actual work and consistency. Now she announced she was going into business consulting. What the fuck did she know about business consulting? Absolutely nothing. But she spent thousands on a website, business cards, and networking events. She landed exactly 0 clients. These people just don't recognize talent, she complained after another failed pitch meeting. They're intimidated by a strong woman with innovative ideas. The innovative ideas I saw in her PowerPoint presentations were basic concepts copied from business books and YouTube videos, repackaged with fancy fonts and stock photos. When I suggested she might need some actual business experience or education first, she accused me of not being supportive. "You just don't want me to be successful," she snapped. "You like having me dependent on you." By year 2, my income had nearly doubled. We moved into a bigger house in the best neighborhood in town. 5 bedrooms, pool, home gym, that I personally designed with $55,000 worth of professional equipment. I bought her the Audi SUV she'd been drooling over. Life was good. Or so I thought. That's when her entitlement went into overdrive. She joined this country club using my money, and started hanging out with these rich housewives, who didn't work but spent their husband's cash like it was going out of style. Suddenly, my hardworking wife was posting Instagram stories from spa days, champagne lunches, and shopping sprees. One day I checked our joint account and nearly had a heart attack. She'd spent $25,000 in a single month, designer clothes, a girl's trip to Las Vegas, Botox, and a $5,500 handbag. When I confronted her, she looked at me like I was speaking another language. "What's the problem? You can afford it." "That's not the point," I said. "We didn't discuss any of this." "Discuss?" She actually laughed. "I'm your wife. Your success is my success. I shouldn't have to ask permission to enjoy what we've built. What the actual fuck? This woman hadn't contributed a dime to my businesses. She'd never even worked a full shift at any of my gyms. But in her mind, she was entitled to everything I'd built before and during our marriage. I suggested we set up a budget, a generous one, but still a budget. She threw another tantrum. So I'm supposed to track every purchase like a child? Ask permission to buy lunch? This is financial abuse, Ethan. Financial abuse? That's rich coming from someone who was spending money she didn't earn like it was unlimited. The fights got worse. She'd call me controlling for wanting to set a budget. She'd compare our lifestyle to her friends. Jessica's husband bought her a Rolex for their anniversary. Why can't you do that? Jessica's husband is a 62-year-old heart surgeon, I pointed out. And Jessica doesn't spend $25,000 a month on bullshit. Oh, so now my things are bullshit? And off she'd go again. Meanwhile, she started criticizing my appearance, the very thing that had attracted her in the first place. You spend too much time at the gym, she'd say, while simultaneously expecting me to maintain the physique of a Greek god. You're getting obsessive. This from a woman who knew exactly what I did for a living when she met me. Maybe cut back on the protein shakes, she suggested one morning. Your muscles are getting too big. It's not attractive anymore. I stared at her dumbfounded. You met me as a fitness business owner. Being in shape is literally part of my brand. She rolled her eyes. There's in shape and then there's whatever this is. She gestured vaguely at my body, which looked exactly the same as when we met. It was all about control. When we were dating, she loved showing me off. Her hot fit boyfriend who owned his own business. Now that she had the ring, she wanted to remake me into something else. Something more controllable. The final straw wasn't even the money or the criticism. It was finding out who she really was. It was a random Wednesday when my world imploded. I was at my newest gym location training a college baseball team. They had signed on for group sessions. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Nate. My head trainer at the original location? Dude, you need to come here now. Not joking. It's important. It's about Vanessa. I told the assistant trainer to take over. Drove across town, my mind racing with possibilities. Was she hurt? Had she caused a scene at the gym? Was she cheating on me with one of the trainers? When I got there, Nate pulled me into the office and closed the door. Man, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's something you need to know about Vanessa. Turns out one of our longtime members, a cop named Tyler, had recognized Vanessa from a case he worked years ago. Her name wasn't even Vanessa Barrett originally. It was Olivia Thompson. She'd been arrested for credit card fraud in another state about 7 years ago, charged with running up her ex-fiancé's cards to the tune of $360,000. Charges were eventually dropped when the guy refused to testify, probably out of embarrassment. Tyler pulled the mugshot from the database, Nate said, sliding his phone across the desk. He wasn't sure it was her at first, but then he heard her full name when you guys came to the Christmas party. I sat there in shock as I stared at the photo. It was definitely her, with darker hair and no lip fillers, but unmistakably my wife. Olivia Thompson was printed under the booking number. I drove home in a daze, not even sure what I was going to say or do. When I walked in, Vanessa was by the pool drinking wine with 2 of her country club friends. I waited until they left before confronting her. So, Olivia, how long were you planning to keep your past a secret? The color drained from her face. For once, she had no quick comeback. No tantrum. No tears. She just stared at me. Tyler Sullivan recognized you. Remember him? Retired cop who trains at my gym? She whispered. Then the lies started pouring out. How she'd made one mistake with her ex. How she'd changed her name to escape an abusive past. How she didn't tell me because she was afraid I wouldn't understand. He was controlling, she said, tears finally coming. He set me up, made it look like I was spending his money without permission, but he approved everything. Then he changed his story when he got mad at me for leaving him. I might have believed her, if I hadn't already called her previous employer during my drive home. Turns out she wasn't fired because of office politics. She was fired for falsifying expense reports and using the company credit card for personal purchases. They didn't press charges because it was under $5,000 and not worth the hassle. And the medical device company? I asked. The one that fired you for rejecting your boss's advances? She blinked rapidly. What about it? I just got off the phone with their HR department. There's no record of you ever working there. Another lie to explain why she had no real income when we met. Just like the fitness influencer and business consultant careers that never materialized. It had all been bullshit from day one. I slept in the guest room that night, trying to process everything. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. Made breakfast, talked about some charity event she wanted to attend. When I didn't engage, she finally looked at me and said, "Are we really going to let my past ruin our marriage?" That's when I noticed her phone on the counter buzzing with a text. The preview showed, "Last night was amazing. When can you get away again?" I grabbed the phone before she could. The text was from trainer Dom. We didn't have a trainer named Dom at any of my gyms. Scrolling through their messages made me physically sick. This had been going on for months. My wife was fucking some personal trainer from her country club, while spending my money and living in my house. There were hundreds of messages, plans to meet at hotels when I was stuck at work, complaints about me and my obsession with the gyms, even discussions about how much money she could get from me in a divorce. "Don't worry, babe," she had texted him 2 weeks earlier. "When I leave him, I'll get at least half of everything. His business is worth millions now. The prenup is shit. My lawyer says we can easily break it." I set the phone down and looked at her. "Pack your shit. You have until tomorrow to get out." "You can't do that. This is my house too." "Actually, I can. The house is in my name only. Check the prenup you signed." "Fuck your prenup. I'll take you for everything you've got." I just laughed. "Good luck with that, Olivia." She tried to slap me, but I caught her wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop her from hitting me. She immediately turned on the waterworks. "You're hurting me. Let go of me," she screamed, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I released her instantly and stepped back, suddenly understanding the game. Nice try, but the security cameras I installed last month caught all of that. I pointed to the small camera in the corner of the kitchen ceiling. "And everything is backed up to the cloud, so if you try to claim I abused you, I have proof that it's bullshit." Her face contorted with rage. The mask completely dropped. This wasn't the cute, supportive woman I'd fallen for. This was someone else entirely. Cold, calculating, and furious that her scam had been exposed. "You'll regret this," she hissed, storming upstairs to presumably pack her things. I immediately called my lawyer. Vanessa or Olivia, whatever. Didn't leave quietly. She hired this scumbag lawyer who specialized in breaking prenups. Their whole strategy boiled down to 2 claims. She signed under duress, and she had significantly contributed to the growth of my businesses during our marriage. My lawyer, best money I ever spent, was a 64-year-old divorce attorney who'd seen every trick in the book. When I showed him the evidence of Vanessa's identity fraud and the text messages, he just nodded and said, "This will work in our favor. Don't worry. First things first," he said, leaning back in his leather chair. "We need to secure your assets. She's already tried to withdraw $58,000 from your joint account. Thankfully, I'd put a freeze on the account the day I confronted her. She'd managed to take $6,000 before the freeze went through, but it could have been much worse. My lawyer advised me to change all my passwords, secure my business documents, and alert my business partners and managers about the situation. She might try to cause trouble at your gyms or with your suppliers. People like this often try to damage what they can't have." He was right. 2 days later, she showed up at my flagship gym, screaming about how I'd abused her and stolen her ideas. Nate had to escort her out while she made a scene in front of my members. He got it all on the security cameras, which came in handy later. The first court date was for temporary support while the divorce proceeded. Vanessa showed up looking like a damn Sunday school teacher. Conservative dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. Gone was the designer wardrobe and flashy jewelry. She was playing the part of the modest, wronged wife. Her lawyer painted this picture of her as the supportive spouse, who sacrificed her own career to help build my fitness empire. He claimed she deserved temporary support of $28,000 per month, plus continued use of the house. When my lawyer stood up, he was surgical. "Your Honor, before addressing the financial requests, I believe the court should be aware that the petitioner has committed identity fraud." He presented the evidence of her name change, which she had never legally processed, and her prior arrest record. Furthermore, Mrs. Hayes entered into the marriage under false pretenses, hiding her criminal history and termination for theft from her previous employer. Vanessa's face went white. Her lawyer started whispering frantically to her. "As for her contributions to my client's businesses," my lawyer continued, "we have documentation showing that not only did she not contribute, but she actually damaged his brand reputation on several occasions." He presented screenshots of negative reviews from gym members, complaining about Vanessa's behavior, her unauthorized fitness classes she tried to run, and testimony from my employees about her disruptive presence. The judge, an older woman with zero patience for bullshit, looked directly at Vanessa. "Mrs. Hayes, did you disclose your criminal history to your husband before marriage?" Vanessa stammered something about difficult circumstances and deserving a fresh start. The judge cut her off. "That's a yes or no question." "No, Your Honor." "And did you legally change your name from Olivia Thompson to Vanessa Barrett?" Another pause. "Not officially, Your Honor." The temporary support hearing ended with Vanessa getting a whopping $2,200 per month. For 3 months. Just enough to rent a basic apartment, and zero access to the house. my businesses, or any other assets. But the main divorce hearing was where my lawyer really destroyed her. Her lawyer tried to argue that the prenup was signed under duress, claiming I had emotionally manipulated Vanessa into signing by threatening to cancel the wedding. My client was deeply in love and felt she had no choice but to sign a document she didn't fully understand, her lawyer argued. While Vanessa dabbed at non-existent tears with a tissue, my lawyer calmly presented the prenup, complete with modifications requested by her lawyer, proof that I had paid for her independent legal counsel, and the fact that it was signed 4 months before the wedding. Plenty of time to back out. Then came the hammer blow. My lawyer had found social media posts where Vanessa herself had bragged about the prenup. She'd posted this whole thing about being financially savvy and how smart modern women protect themselves with prenups too, complete with a photo of her signing the document, smiling. Your Honor, it's difficult to claim duress when the petitioner was publicly celebrating the very document she now claims was forced upon her, my lawyer said, displaying the Instagram posts on the courtroom monitor. Her lawyer's face when those screenshots appeared was priceless. He clearly hadn't known about these posts. Vanessa hadn't told him, probably assuming they'd been deleted and forgotten. When they tried the contribution to the business angle, my lawyer presented financial records showing that instead of contributing, Vanessa had actually cost my businesses money. Records of her unauthorized promotional events that I had to cancel and refund, documentation of clients who left because of her behavior, testimony from my business manager about her attempts to access company accounts without authorization. Furthermore, Your Honor, my lawyer continued, we have evidence that the petitioner was planning to break the prenuptial agreement long before any marital difficulties arose. He presented the text messages where she told her affair partner about her plans to get half of everything and that the prenup was shit. Vanessa's lawyer tried to object, claiming the text messages were obtained without consent, but the judge overruled him. The messages were on a phone paid for by the respondent under a family plan in his name. There is no expectation of privacy in this circumstance. By the end of the day, the judge upheld every single provision of the prenup. Vanessa would get nothing beyond what was specified in the agreement. A one-time payment of $55,000 and the temporary support of $2,200 a month for 3 months. The judge also issued a restraining order, preventing Vanessa from coming to any of my business locations. After seeing the video of her meltdown at my gym, Mrs. Hayes, the judge said, looking directly at Vanessa, the court takes a very dim view of identity fraud, attempts to circumvent valid legal agreements, and especially of using false allegations of abuse as a litigation tactic. Consider yourself fortunate that your ex-husband is not pursuing criminal charges. As we left the courthouse, Vanessa tried one last manipulation, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed my arm and whispered, I still love you, Ethan. We can work this out. I made mistakes, but I never stopped loving you. I just looked at her and said, I don't even know your real name. She switched instantly from sad to furious. You think you've won? This isn't over. I know things about your business, things that could hurt you. My lawyer, overhearing this, stepped in. That sounds suspiciously like blackmail, Mrs. Hayes. Would you like to clarify that statement for the record? She stormed off, her discount lawyer trailing behind her looking defeated. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. Vanessa got her $55,000 payout from the prenup, and the temporary support ended. I kept the house, all 3 gyms, the supplement business, the real estate investments, and my personal accounts. What Vanessa didn't realize until it was too late, she was also responsible for all the debt she'd racked up in her name during our marriage. About $920,000 spread across 6 credit cards, plus the lease on her Audi that she couldn't afford to maintain. I heard through mutual friends that she moved into a shitty 1-bedroom apartment on the bad side of town. The country club friends disappeared instantly. Once she couldn't afford the membership, the $55,000 disappeared fast, probably paying off some of the debt and maintaining appearances as long as she could. After the divorce, I threw myself into work, opened a 4th gym location, expanded the supplement line, and even launched a fitness app that was bringing in serious subscription revenue. I was making more money than ever, partly because I wasn't hemorrhaging cash supporting Vanessa's lifestyle. The real karma hit about 6 months later. My supplement line got picked up by a national distributor, and I was featured in a fitness industry magazine as Entrepreneur of the Year. The article included photos of my newest gym location, a 28,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility, with a recovery spa, nutrition bar, and pro shop. The business was now valued at around $9 million. One night I was at a restaurant with Natalie, the woman I'd recently started dating, a sports physical therapist who actually had her own practice, a real businesswoman with her own money, when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ethan, I miss you. Can we talk? I've been doing a lot of thinking. I showed Natalie the text and explained who it was from. We both laughed and ordered another round of drinks. 2 weeks later, I got an email from Vanessa's account. It was pathetic. I'm really struggling right now. I can't find a decent job because of the credit checks. My car got repossessed last week. I know we had our problems, but I was always your biggest supporter. I'm not asking for much, just a loan to help me get back on my feet. Maybe you could even use a consultant for your new locations. I have a lot of ideas that could help your business. Please, Ethan, I'm desperate. I didn't respond. A week later, another email. Ethan, please, I'm desperate. My landlord is evicting me. I have nowhere to go. My parents won't help me. I made mistakes, but doesn't everyone? Just $12,000 to help me start over. I'll pay you back, I promise. I still care about you despite everything. Don't you remember the good times? I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Instead of responding, I forwarded the email to my lawyer, asking if this constituted harassment. He said not yet, but to keep documenting everything. The final communication came through a mutual friend, Diane, who called to tell me Vanessa was spreading rumors about me. At her new workplace, a mall kiosk selling skincare products, she's telling everyone you abused her, that you stole her business ideas, and that you bribed the judge. Diane said nobody believes her, but thought I should know. I thanked Diane and asked my lawyer to send Vanessa a cease and desist letter. The rumors stopped immediately. About a month after that, I got one final text from her. I hope you're happy with yourself. I'm moving back home. My life is ruined because of you. I blocked the number without responding. I later found out from another mutual acquaintance that moving back home meant moving in with some 58-year-old guy who managed a car dealership and had a thing for younger blondes. Apparently she met him while desperate to finance another car, after her Audi got repossessed. From what I heard, she was already talking about marriage. After just a few weeks of dating, poor bastard had no idea what was coming. The lesson? Protect what you build. Always get a prenup. And if someone shows you who they really are, whether it's a fake name, a history of fraud, or just a shitty entitled attitude, fucking believe them the first time. Oh, and the best part? I found out recently that Trainer Dom from the country club, the guy she was cheating with, he was married too. His wife found out about the affair around the same time I did, and took him for everything. No prenup in their case. Karma's a bitch, just like my ex-wife.